Hey guys, Matt Wilson here. Thought I'd give you a little bit of a different view of my place. I got tired of sitting by the dining table with the same posters. So here's some new posters for you to look at. I'm gonna do a punk rock show today on Black Flag. I know that's kind of a big jump from my usual 60s, 70s classic rock, but hey, love me some punk rock, and I especially love me some LA punk rock. So before I start, most people who are really into punk will extol the virtues of England or London punk or New York punk. Not too many people are really that into LA punk, but I am. I mean, and not just because I live here. I mean, I liked it when I was in San Diego. Black Flag were from Hermosa Beach, which is down. It's almost close to Orange County, but it's a South Bay town. And Greg Ginn, well, they all live there pretty much. Greg Ginn's family, I mean, they may still be there for all I know, had a place there, and that's where the Greg and his brother Raymond Pabon grew up. Actually, since I brought up Raymond Pabon, I should show you this, and then I could not have to deal with him. Pabon is a great artist. You know, he paints. He did all the artwork on those early. Oh gosh, I'm showing you guys the wrong book. This is it. This is the Raymond Pabon book. He did all the artwork on those early Black Flag albums and EPs and 45s, and his stuff is great. I mean, I don't know. Can you even see that? There's several books of his artwork that you can get. This is one I have, and I'm happy with it. And I don't think that Pabon gets along with his brother so much anymore. So I don't even know whether he is proud of his Black Flag history or whatever. But anyways, and since I showed it to you, and I'm probably going to forget about it if I don't show you now. This is a book on The Mask, the famous punk club in Hollywood. It's all just photographs, but oh my God, if you know who's who, you can see pictures of so many people who were in the LA punk scene, who would later be in bands, from this. This is, Brendan Mullen, who owned the club, sanctioned this, and it's various photographers, but it's really a beautiful, this book for the photography and the Pabon book for the art are two things I'm going to show you. And now let's talk about Black Flag. The first thing, because I deal with CDs, right, is what I'm going to show you. This is the first 4 years. There's a good number of Black Flag fans, including Henry Rollins, who will tell you this is the best purchase that you can get. It's all the stuff that they recorded and released, I guess I'm going to say, before Henry Rollins joined, So you get the Jealous Again EP, and then before that, the Wasted one, the Louie Louie single. I'm sorry, Nervous Breakdown is what it's called, not Wasted. Wasted is a song on there. Nervous Breakdown, by the way, that EP, that's one of the classic punk EPs you get. So is Jealous Again. They're both, Keith Morris was the singer in the late 70s, because the Nervous Breakdown EP came out in 79, recorded though, I think in 78. He was a singer at the time. He later, of course, went on to form Circle Jerks. Then they had Jealous Again, it was Ron Reyes, I think is his name, who quit on stage while they were performing. Then they had to get him back in the band to record the Jealous Again EP. Then he left, moved up north, and Greg was pissed off at that, so he called Ron Chavo Pederast on the EP. So that's why Ron's name is listed as that. They later got back together, Greg and Ron, in the 21st century to make the last Black Flag album, which is kind of marginal. I'm not going to include that in this show, but obviously they did make amends. And then you had Des Cadena, who was in the band already, who assumed vocals after Ron. All those are good singers. All three of those guys did well. And there's also a couple of tracks on here which were on like various artists' compilations. But folks, this is it. That's probably my favorite disc. Black Flag's classic album, Damaged. This is Henry Rollins. Obviously, that's him on the cover. This is, for all intents and purposes, their best album. This is the whole record. There's no bonus tracks on here. Nah, because I'm pretty sure the album had 15 tracks. This is the only... Guys, a quick word about these SST CDs. They sound like crap. I never had the vinyl of these albums in the 80s, because by this point I had already, made the switch over to CD. I don't remember exactly when these CDs came out. Late 80s, early 90s. I don't remember, but I had them by the 90s. But I used to like to hear Black Flag on the radio. So a bit of history on that. I'm from San Diego, grew up there in the 70s and the 80s. They still, then and now, have a pretty good new wave or post-punk radio station called 91X. And they would occasionally play Black Flag. Black Flag were never a staple because punk rock was not a staple on 91X. But you could hear something like Six Pack or TV Party, and that's where I first heard them. That's where I became interested in them. Anyway, this is furious. This is hardcore. This might be my favorite hardcore album. But it's ferocious, and it's exactly what you want. Yet there's still some kind of popish songs, right? They had a really intense, what word should I say? Rehearsal schedule. I mean, they would rehearse for hours at places that they had secured in Hermosa Beach. I think a warehouse that they were living in. Hours, like every day. You're practicing for gigs, practicing for upcoming recordings. And they would just give it their all till they were just bathed in sweat, and certainly Henry did that. And, Greg too. They had a revolving door when it came to other band members, but they maintained that pace, I think, all through their existence in the 80s. This is, let me tell you about this. This is a CDR, right? Now, I made this. This is the Everything Went Black. Since these SST CDs sound so crappy, and I guess we could discuss that. That's how they were recorded. SST was a great punk label that had Meat Puppets and Minutemen and Husker Du and Black Flag and any number of other lesser known but still good artists. But this stuff does not sound great, and Greg does not care to go back, because he still owns all this stuff, and remaster this. He's Mr. Punk Rock. He doesn't care about that kind of stuff. But I would. The Meat Puppets got their way out of the SST deal, and so you can get their albums on CD, and they sound better. But something like this, I bought these two CDs, but after that, I have a few more that I'll show you too. I just downloaded everything from iTunes because it sounds the exact same. Burned it onto CDR and just made it myself. Went to Discogs. This was the first LP cover of Everything Went Black, where they didn't even list the band's name, and they faded out the 4 bars, which was their symbol. These are recordings. I don't think Henry's on any of these recordings. It's almost like a first 4 years set where you get the other 3 singers. I think most of the singing here is by Des, doing material that perhaps was known by other singers, in the band. But it's all good. There's hardly anything that I wouldn't recommend on here. Also in '82, I rarely show you guys bootlegs, but I'm going to make an exception in this case. This is the complete '82 demos. This is like an album that they could have released in '82 because they recorded it, but they were having issues with money in the label and whatnot, and so this was never officially released. But there are many Black Flag fans who consider this to be the best thing that Henry Rollins ever recorded with the band. I don't think it's better than Damaged, but it would have been a damn good album in '82. And as you can see, if you know their material, there's songs on here which they would later re-record for officially released albums in '84. All right, so this is not hard to get. The complete '82 demos, not recorded all that well, but aren't I telling you that none of this stuff is recorded all that well? So I do recommend that. Okay, nothing in '83. What we have here in '84 is their first album proper since Damaged 3 years prior. This is My War. My War was a divisive record at the time because this angered the punk rock purists because it's not a standard punk rock album. It's almost more like a grungy album or a metallic, like metal album. They've got long kind of jamming songs. The original LP, it was side 2, which caused the most consternation. Because if you listen to songs like, My War and Can't Decide and Bust My Head Against, those are just standard, Black Flag punky songs. But when you get to the, Nothing Left Inside, Three Nights, Scream, it is, something of a chore. But it's also a total forerunner of what, people in the Pacific Northwest or in Seattle would call grunge, or stoner rock. Not too much later. Black Flag did it first, folks. Forerunners. Plus, by that point, they had grown their hair out. They weren't just going to be standard, English, punks with the mohawk. Although, yeah, people in Black Flag did have mohawk at one time. But they were growing their hair out. They were playing this kind of stoner rock, and they were never. When you considered people like Greg or Henry to be quintessential punks, keep in mind too, those two guys are big Grateful Dead fans. So, and Henry has a huge musical vocabulary. He likes a lot of stuff. So, just when you think that you have Black Flag pigeonholed, you don't. I think this is a great album, even if I don't play side 2 all that much myself. It's a very prescient anyway. Okay, here's another CDR that I made of Family Man. See, I just go to Discogs, print out the artwork, write on the CD with my Sharpie, boom, just as good as buying this from SST. I tried to buy some stuff once on the SST website, and I couldn't even, when I pressed submit, it wouldn't even take my money. It's like, come on, Greg. Anyways, Family Man, not as good as anything probably prior. This is like an experimental album. You get, Henry starting to, when I say rap, I don't mean rap in the hip hop sense, but just do his talking thing, which he would later make a career out of, all right, and then have various spoken word albums. Henry is a workaholic, was a workaholic, I don't know, but he just definitely was not going to only be defined by Black Flag, even though he was living in Greg's family's little house in their backyard. I think he lived there the entire time he was in Black Sabbath. Black Flag, Freudian slip. I don't think he ever even owned an apartment. So these guys were not making any money making this music. So Family Man, okay. Considerably better. Also in '84, this is their third studio album. Zip It In. Zip It In's pretty damn good. It's just another, Black Flag punk album with metal overtones or sledgy, grungy aspects, but better. Coming out there. So, you know, there's not much to show you. Again, I just got that from Discogs, but this is a good album. And it contains some of the stuff that was on the 82 demos. So 2 years later, they were still releasing some of those songs officially. Re-recorded versions, though. All right? I do like that one. It made me more consistent, I think, than My War. And this is Black Flag Live 84. Came out... I got the picture from Discogs. This is a CDR. This was the cover of the original cassette. When it came out on a CD or LP, it didn't have that cover. But I'm like a purist. I like to show you things that using the covers that it was originally released in. This is a good live album. This is their fourth album in '84. So they took advantage of the fact that they didn't release anything in '83 to just spew out all this stuff in '84. It's all good. And this is as fast and furious and intense as you want it to be. All right, they would do another live album, which I'm gonna get to in a second. All right, so what are we on? 85 now. We got Loose Nut. Loose Nut's pretty good. All of their stuff from '85 is good, but not great. I don't know. I mean, this is another CDR, guys, because I just, rather than just go buy all these CDs, I just thought it would be cheaper just to spend like whatever it was, $10 each, and download them all and make my own CDRs. And I played these like in the car. You know, I mean, driving to and from work, I can get through a whole album going to work and then coming back, and then some. So that's a lot of how I get music to grow on me. Although I mean, you know, I knew this stuff before I had my current job. But I like Loose Nut, but it's not great. By this point in '85, the punk scene in LA is kind of starting to die. Certainly by the late '80s. Black Flag were never a Hollywood punk band anyway, not like X, you know. These guys were always kind of outsiders because they were from the South Bay. I'm not sure if the guys in Black Flag ever felt that they fit into that Hollywood punk scene, but anyways, Loose Nut. Here is here's an EP that Greg did with the band. I mean, it's a Black Flag album, called The Process of Weeding Out, and what it means is it's the process of weeding out fair weather fans. This is instrumental. It's 20-something minutes long, so it's another CDR. It's almost like a mini album, but it is a little wearisome to get through. I don't mind it because it's like this is like Greg's version of Lou Reed's Metal Machine music, but this is melodic and these are songs. They're just jams. You know, again, he's showing you, I'm not going to give you standard punk fare. You know, I'm going to present what I want to play, and if you dig it, you dig it, and if not, not. You know, it's that Dylan kind of mentality. This is what I do, and if you like it, great. Which I always like that when musicians do it. Is this a great EP? No, but you know, I'm glad I have it. I downloaded it. I played it a few times. This is their last real album this is the last album of the last studio album of the 20th century. In my head, about as good as Loose Nut, you know? I mean, there's great songs. Drinking and Driving, Parallel, yeah, White Hot. There's great songs on every Black Flag album, another CDR. For $10, download it, or buy yourself a CD of this. Get it off Greg's website and give him some money. But I'm happy with these CDRs. I don't need to. If they had better sounding versions or if Greg would get off his butt and allow this stuff to be remastered, I would love a big Black Flag SST box set of all their stuff remastered with the lyrics and essays and bonus tracks. But folks, that's not gonna happen, right? So I'm happy with this. Last thing they did was recorded in '85 but released in '86. Who's got the 10.5? Kira, the bass player, the girl, had the 10.5, right? That's the joke. Sexist stuff. Like everything else, or most of the things I'm showing you, another CDR. Is this better than Live 84? It might be. It's got a better set list. I think Henry once said this is his favorite Black Flag album. So, oh, one more thing. This was one of the first CDs of theirs I ever purchased. Wasted Again, which is just like a greatest hits. I don't remember if there's anything on here which isn't on the previous releases, but it's a nice little compilation. Where's I can remember when these CDs came out? I don't know if they were available in the 80s, but they could have been. They could have been. What else I want to show you? I brought this out. This is the box set of the Penelope Spheris Decline of Western Civilization Blu-rays. There's 3 of them. The first one, of course, is the punk one. Second one is the metal one on the Sunset Strip. And the third one is like street punks in the 90s. But it's the first one that gets most of the acclaim. That has, it was all about, like a Hollywood punks, but it did have a nice little section on Black Flag. They were interviewed 1980, I think, when Ron was the singer and they were all living together in that warehouse I was telling you about. It's nice, but it's a great movie because you get material on the Germs and Fear and so many other great bands from that era, and I'm a fan of all that stuff. So I like that. In fact, I just really quickly, I like Penelope Spheris' stuff. Suburbia is another punk movie she made in '83. The Boys Next Door, yes, that's Charlie Sheen. Not too much of in fact, probably not any kind of relation to punk rock. And then Dudes is even kind of a punk rock movie she made. So she spent a lot of time with that musical genre. Spray Paint the Walls is the only book on Black Flag I've ever read, but it does the trick. I mean, this is a good book. You want to know how intense these guys were and what their touring schedule was like and their rehearsal schedule. This is a perfect. These guys would literally, just drive all day in a van with no room, hot, get to the place, set up, play, get back in the van, do that over and over again. It's no kind of existence that I would have wanted, but whether you celebrate that or think it's romantic, they did it. They lived it. I guarantee you, he never made any money during the Black Flag years. And of course, Henry's got a lot of books. I've really only read Get in the Van. That's the. It's a fun read, but it gets a bit tiresome because you can tell Henry is editing himself. He was so depressed in these days and negative and totally, buying into the punk rock ideology 101 mentality that he's just how he hates everything and whatever. But he never talks bad about Greg in here, and he's got mixed feelings about Greg Ginn. It was Greg that told him the band was over and you can't live with my parents anymore and blah blah blah. So anyway, it's interesting. I think it's out of print now, but you can get it still. You can find it all over the place. And that's it. So cool. Less than a half hour. Black Flag, great Hermosa Beach or just LA punk band, starting in '79 on record. Although they've been playing before that. I didn't show you everything. I mean, there's some 45s. They made an EP with the Minutemen, which is not that bad. And then, like I said, you know, Greg and Ron got back in the 21st century to do another Black Flag album, but it's not that good. I downloaded what I thought were the best songs, and they're not bad, but it's nothing, you know, groundbreaking. So, all right, guys, that's it. Black Flag, Matt Wilson, adios.